Let's find out where he is hiding. Okay, cool. See you, Lize. Thank you. Just trying to... Okay, I'm going to try to get in touch with Luyanda, and then I'll be back.
Wait, I'm here. I just joined.
We love it. We love it. You were like not going to make Wama's life difficult at all. All right. Just have a few panelists who are giving us a heads up that their network is pretty bad. Not a problem. We will work with what we have. There's people in the lobby, and I don't really know what to do about that. Admit. There we go. Yeah, I think I did the right thing. I don't know, if you see anyone pop up in the lobby, please feel free to admit them. I don't know if anyone can admit, but I'm sure anyone can. Anyway, let's get this started. Welcome to everyone. So today's interview, we are going to be speaking to our Prims from the Tygerberg campus of Stellenbosch University. All of the Prims from the Tygerberg campus are here. Yeah, we're just going to hear from you all on how to become a Prim at Tygerberg and what it's like to be a Prim at Tygerberg, and yeah, any advice that you have for someone who is considering following in your footsteps in this election season that's coming up. With that being said, I'm going to ask that our lovely panelists introduce themselves. And you can just say what community you represent, what res or PSO, our one PSO, that you are the Prim of. You're more than welcome to switch your video on. I'm sure the people want to see what you look like, even if it's for a glimpse, even if you're in your pajamas, we'll accept it. Yeah, Wade, let's start with you.
Why did I have a feeling you were going to start with me, Wama?
It's a WW thing.
You see, I get it. I get it. Both being at the end of, always being at the end of the class list. I understand.
Right?
But just introduce myself. Hi, Wade du Plessis. I'm a fourth year medical student, and I am the Prim of the recently renamed residence eNkanyini. And cluster would be Tygerberg, but we do have affiliate clusters, and my affiliate main campus cluster would be Wimbledon.
Nice. Thank you very much, Wade. Everyone's videos just popped up while you were speaking, and I was like, hey, people got their makeup, people got their hair all pressed and stuff. Okay, we see you. I just made sure there was light in the room.
We need to look good for these things. I even sculpted what little bit of beard I've trying to be getting on.
I see, and your nice, your subtle pink sweater. I see you made sure that your headphones weren't color blocking. I'm watching all of this. It's good because you know it's going to land up on YouTube and on TV at some point. So Tshiamo with the rosy cheeks. Let's go to you.
Ma'am, please, not me. Tshiamo, and I am a fourth year medical student as well as the Prim of Huis Francie from Zijl.
I promise to show no bias, even though for those who don't know, last year I was a Prim of a residence, of which Tshiamo is now the Prim of. But I'll show no bias. I know it's all being recorded. Thank you, Tshiamo. Thank you for joining us. We're happy to have you. Lize, are you here? Let's go to you.
Yes, I'm here. So I'm Lize Bisschoff, Prim of Meerhoff, also a fourth year medical student. And I feel like Tshiamo is really like, she's in a different class. She has like a nice background and everything. You make me feel like I move.
She made sure everything was aesthetic. Like, Tshiamo, why? I think Tshiamo,
Guys,
your video must
The
just
thing
be
is,
bad.
I only have my makeup and hair done because I needed to take pictures. It's got nothing to do with it.
Keep telling us that. We don't
But
believe
honestly,
you.
I'm not surprised because Tshiamo has an aesthetic. It's
Yeah.
a fact.
I just feel like she could have warned us, though.
Good dog. Do you follow me on Instagram, sir? You were warned. Leave me alone.
Dead, coming for edges already, and this is just the intro. I really love it.
I feel
this
like people
following.
straight off the bat now know what it's like to be a group of Prims and Tygerberg just by this little interaction.
This is the honest. This is the truth. How it actually looks. No blazers. Never any blazers. Just a mess.
What is that? I don't know what that is.
Who is she? We don't know her.
Yeah, never seen her. Love it. So let's go to Luyanda, who's not following Tshiamo on Instagram for some reason.
Firstly, I'm in exam season, madam. I'm sorry. Clearly not, because you're flourishing. But hi everyone. I'm Luyanda, Primarius of Hippokrates. There it is. Yeah, Hippokrates, and I'm a third year / sort of fourth year because Corona did things, but we move. And hi.
Great, thank you, Luyanda. Yeah, no, Corona definitely did a lot of things. It's still doing the things, but we adapt. We adapt. Here we are today for the people. And last but not least, Daniel. I insist on saying Daniel.
Thank you, Mama. It's great seeing all of you guys. Like, my mic is off most of the time, but I'm laughing so much. It's really great being here. So yeah, my name is Daniel de Villiers, and I'm the Prim of the only PSO, like Wama said, of Osler. And yeah, I'm same boat as Luyanda, third year / fourth year. So yeah, but anyway.
Beautiful. We love this. We love the slashes. We love the slashes. Just keeping it discreet, keeping it mysterious. No one will know. No one can track you from this video and know when you're graduating. We love it. We love it. See what you and Luyanda are trying to do here. Yeah, so thank you to all of you for availing yourselves, for just to sit down and discuss, yeah, the position you're in, how your term was, and to invest in the future of the upcoming primship, and to be excited and keen and willing to inform people and tell people things that you might not have been told before you came into the position. Yeah, and just unpack the wisdom that you have gained from your experience in office. So with that being said, I think I'll jump straight into the first question I'm sure everyone in your communities has, if they want to become a prim, and that is, how do they do it practically? So what is the procedure in your residence in Osler of becoming a prim? Yeah, so you can keep this really concise. It's not really the stress and pressure and stuff that goes around it, but more focusing on the procedural aspect of actually becoming a prim. So Luyanda, because you look so ready to answer this, I'll start with you.
How do I look ready? Yeah, so for us in Hippokrates, it's not that deep. What happens is you apply to be Haka like everyone else when Haka applications go out, and then in our application form we have a young tick the position you want, right? So if you want to go for Prim, you tick Prim. When you go for VP, you tick VP, and Haka. And then you can take all of them or just two of them, depending on what position. If you don't get your first choice, you can get another one. And so, if you take Prim and you don't get Prim in the voting, your name goes back into the selection if you take the Vice Prim as well. So, yeah, apply for Haka, and then the caucus happens. And right after the caucus, the House votes for the Prim that same night, so that when it comes to the next voting and the next ballots, don't have that person's name. So after the caucus, at that same night, you usually know who your Prim is. Might be a bit different this year just because of technical difficulties and all of that. So a lot of the traditional aspects of the whole voting thing are going to be out. But yeah, that's how the process works.
Just to ask you a quick unexpected follow-up question on what you mentioned. It just popped in my head now.
Oh, you liar. You said, I'm going to prepare you guys.
I need to keep you on your toes, make sure you're awake. But it's a harmless question, and it's strictly your opinion. When you were talking about you tick the box on the application form, whether you want to run for Prim or Vice Prim, and you can tick both, right? In your opinion, what is the best strategy to do both or commit to one? Just in your opinion.
See, it's always like around haka applications, everything is tense. Everyone looks at you all political. Like if you hold someone's door, they're like, we see you trying to be prim. And it's like, I'm just trying to be nice. So there's a lot of strategies, and like people really do some dodge stuff. One of the strategies people say is just tick prim. No one's gonna vote for you for prim, but like by the time they get to haka, they'll be like, guys, let's feel sorry for him. Let's vote for him. In my opinion, I say the position you want. If you know in your heart that you want to be prim and you don't want to be haka, go for it. Like, say what you chest. It's always like a shocker in the house, like, oh, are you brave? But if that's the position you want and that's the one you're suited for, go for it.
Beautiful. Look at that wisdom. Look at that. You were out here stressed about that. That's really beautiful. And I really, really love what you're talking about, because I think it is something that a lot of people battle with, is making that decision of, is it going to look like I am being overconfident if I tick the one specific thing, if I'm very specific about what I believe I will be best in. And so a lot of people, I think, just tick both out of default so that it looks like they're not greedy for a particular position. But honestly, I love that. Like, back yourself, you know what you want and you know what you're best in. So tick the box that suits you. And if you can do both, I mean, we're not hating.
Also, there's nothing wrong with ambition. Like, it's fine. Like,
right?
We love a confident person. Go for it.
We really love to see it. Thank you so much, Luyanda. Wade, let's come to you.
Thank you. Just straight off the bat of what Luyanda and Wama said, I also just want to say, guys, like, say it with your chest, man. If you only want prim, then you only want prim. There's really nothing wrong with it, and that should apply to everything as well. Be it haka or vice prim, doesn't matter. If you feel like it's something you want to do it. Like, regardless of what people think. Know what you want and know your goals and go for them. So yeah, I just wanted to add that, because there's nothing like being forward. There's nothing like being extra. You know what you want, and I salute you for that. With regards to how the process works for us, it's very similar. We have a form that goes out, and on the form, if you fill in the form, it's sort of default that you are applying for haka, but I think there is a spot where you can tick haka, and you can tick prim, and you can also tick vice prim. You can tick all three, you can only tick one, doesn't matter. There's no rule saying that you can only do one or the other. And then it will be caucus, the big sweat, which is not that bad, but anyway, and then directly afterwards, also voting starts for the prim. Voting will stay open for the prim for a certain amount of time. And then voting will, and if the candidates who are standing for prim are not also standing for vice prim, and there'll be no overlap, then voting will be open for both prim and vice prim. Okay. But if there were to be somebody who was standing for the position of both prim and vice prim, then it would only be prim that would be voting, that you'd be voting for. And then, vice prim haka, and then results also get announced. In the past, I don't see it happening again. In the past, it would be that prim and vice prim would be announced separately, and then the haka after that, or depending on how close it is, the haka would be announced at the house dance, the hay stance. But that's not happening this year, so it will be announced differently. But that's how it works with us.
Who knows? Maybe we'll dance online. We'll have a dance on Teams.
You know, something like that. We've almost got that house party app. We can have a house dance and house party. I
I've
can
been
see that.
practicing my solo soki, so I think I'm ready. Thank you so much for that, Wade. That was really comprehensive. Yeah, thank you for clarifying for your house of procedure. Let's go to Daniel.
Cool. So we have basically the same format. So you have your form that you fill in, again, Prim, Vice Prim, Haka, it's your choice. On ours, I know Luyanda said like some people put in Vice Prim and Prim if you don't want to seem too greedy. Oh, by the way, if my background changed, it's just because I'm closer to the router. So just if you guys are confused.
I was wondering why you came back.
But anyway, yeah. Okay, but anyway, for us though, those three options, you choose the one that you feel suited for. It's also don't worry about like the other people said about seeming over ambitious. In the end, one of the messages that I wanted to put through in this interview is that if you have a vision of what you want the house to look like, especially now during this pandemic, during a time when we're really uncertain how the next 3 months are going to look like, nonetheless, the whole term. If you are ready for that, then I think go for it. Like if you have a vision, you should go for that vision. But yeah, so that's the one thing. The form, there's also a few questions just so that we as the panel have a good idea of what caliber leader you are. And then we have interviews before the voting process. Also, same with that, just to see if you're really suited for this job. It's a tough job. It's really stressful at sometimes. So it's just great to know that we've got the right applicants here. And then in the final week, we will put it out to voting and then release the results. So we don't have caucus, we have interviews with the current house or Haka. There we go.
Okay, I see. So just to clarify on the who makes up the interview panel?
So it depends on what position you're going for. So under those three things, we just ask you, okay, what's the top three portfolios you're looking at? And depending on that, we'll put that same portfolio person in the meeting, as well as an extra person that's has another portfolio. And then they'll ask questions either relating to the portfolio or just relating to character. And then based on that, we will have a good idea, because the interview and the voting counts more, but the interview also counts. So we use the combination of two to then choose the next Haka.
Nice. That's a really
Cool.
I like that system. Yeah. Thank you. And I really love that you mentioned you started touching on vision, because you really can't step into leadership. You definitely can't step into Prim if you don't have a vision. It's the thing that drives you. When primming is a lot, when you have to exam and Prim and you have to life and Prim, your vision really keeps you going, because in the beginning, everyone's cheering for you and clapping for you, and it feels like everyone is like for you and it's great. And then a month into it and you're sitting and you're planning like welcoming and team dynamics and team camps, and you're on your own and you're like, where do I actually want to take this team? So it really is about your vision and how your vision benefits the community you're serving. Beautiful. Thank you, Daniel. Let's go to Tshiamo with the rosy cheeks.
All right. So I think what I've picked up that's a bit different from Hippo and eNkanyini is the process of picking Prim before. So we typically pick all of our house committee first. So once we have all 14 of our house committee, we then, based off of whether people decided that they want to run for Prim or Vice Prim, also then the top 2 candidates for those positions are chosen based on votes. And then we have a separate caucus for the Prim and the Vice Prim candidates. This caucus is a bit different because then they get to say, speeches, as opposed to it being more question-based, like the Housecom caucus. So you can articulate your vision quite nicely. I think I used that opportunity to articulate my vision for my term, but you can use the caucus for whatever you want, really. And then we have a vote, and the top Prim candidate and the top Vice Prim candidate are chosen based off the vote.
Not. I just got flashbacks as you were speaking. I was like, oh yeah, that did happen many years ago. Love
Really?
it. Yeah, thank you for clarifying. Yeah, I know there's always a debate between which process is better, to do the house com first and then the prim and vice prim, or to do it the other way around. But you know, if it suits your community and it works for your community, stick to your guns. All right, Lize, let's finish off with you on this question.
Okay, so I'm just going to go through the differences. So basically, the prims, actually I'm going to start with the ticking the boxes thing. So I would say if you just want to do prim, just tick prim, but then be ready for the question of why are you only going for prim? Like, if you're not prepared for that question, then you're really like shooting yourself in the foot. If you were on Haka previously, the house usually understands when you only go for prim or vice prim, and you don't really get those kind of questions. But if you're only going from prim from nothing and vice prim from nothing, be prepared for those questions and have a very good answer. Just because we usually have candidates for both that were already on Haka, so you're already like a bit on the back foot.
Yeah.
And then for our caucus, so Prim and Haka have speeches. Prim's speech is a bit longer than Haka's speeches. And the Haka just have 3 questions from the House and then a standardized question, where the Prim gets 5 questions from the House. So just be ready for a lot of questions. And then the big difference, I'd say, for Meerhoff is our Prim gets elected by the House and then announced at the end of caucus. And then Haka gets announced later. And on the same night Haka gets announced, the current and the old Haka vote together for the new Vice Prim. And then you'll do like a little speech just for the Haka and the old Haka. So yeah, if you're doing Prim, just tick Prim. And if you just want to do Vice Prim, just contact me or Louisa, because it's a bit weird because you're first voted into Haka, but you can only stand for Vice Prim. It's just
okay. I see. That's very interesting. Wow. And obviously for Meerhoff to have kept that going for years, it means that it's a system that actually works. That's really, really interesting. I'm just thinking of the admin behind it. But I mean, if it works, it works. Like I said, if it works for your community, it's a thing that works. Yeah, and I've seen a lot of strong vice prims come out of Meerhoff. So it's definitely, it's a thorough process. It's working, tell you that much. And I really loved what you were touching on, Lize, because it is introducing my next question. Because you mentioned if you are going to tick just prim, be prepared for the question, which is why only prim? Yeah, you'll get that question, guaranteed. Guaranteed, you'll get the question. But what I love about what you're touching on here is preparation, and using preparation as a tool to make caucus experience better for you as a candidate, which is something that I think we all know. Before coming into the role, we were stressed about, be it an interview or stressed about caucus. It was definitely something in the back of your head of, how am I going to stand in front of people and get all these questions, and how am I going to answer? What am I going to do? I've seen caucuses. It's so stressful. What if I don't have the answers? All of that. So what have you found? What did you do that helped you get through caucus successfully? Because obviously you did, and get through your interview successfully, Daniel, because you're all here. Yeah, do you have any practical tips? Yeah, anything that you did that really made the caucus experience less scary and stressful as people think it is? Yeah, and any tips that's going to help someone enjoy caucus even, maybe. Yeah, Lize, I'll start with you because you kind of sparked this question.
Okay, so people in my house know I suck in prepared speeches because I have a reading voice. So I can't read a speech in English or like low-key read, and then you have to memorize the whole thing. I just suck in speeches. I'm good in impromptu speeches and like PK, like my hawkers will know I get very heated and speechy in PK, but so for me, I think I actually preferred the questions, which most people don't really like. But I just say study your speech properly. Now you'll probably be doing videos this year, so you can record it a lot of times. So I think it will be less stressful. But be ready for questions, and just when people ask you a question, just take a moment to breathe and then answer your question. And something I didn't do that one of our hardcores did that was really stellar of the questions is they answered the whole question, and then the end they gave like a quick sentence, just like a summary, which is, it's just, I don't know why, but it was just more powerful. And what else? I think definitely in your speech, talk about things you want to do. Don't just be airy-fairy in the air, or talk about things you have done. If you were in a hardcore, or things you promised and you have done. Because no one wants someone there that like seems like they're only there for the money and like they don't really know what they're doing or what the plan is or what they're even supposed to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's basically it from me.
Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you. It's really, I hope anyone listening to this is actually making notes, because I am. I really love that you said take a moment to breathe before you respond, because I know there's always that pressure of, if you get a question, the sooner you get words out of your mouth, the more meaningful you think your words are going to be. There was one of our hardcore candidates last year at caucus. She got a question, and I kid you not, she paused for it. It felt like a day. It felt like a day. But she paused because she wanted to compose herself properly to answer the question in the most concise and relevant way. And when she gave her answer, it was something that everyone could understand, everyone could follow. And when I asked her about what she was going through in that pause, I was like, weren't you worried? Like, weren't you stressed that people were waiting for you to say words? She's like, no, I was gathering myself together so that I wouldn't waste people's time waffling on about nothing. I'd rather pause and actually speak sense. And it's really good to summarize at the end, because what happens at caucus, I found in my experience, is that sometimes you find the perfect answer while you're speaking. Like in the beginning, you were kind of just stalling, and then the more you go on, you're like, "Ooh, that's a good point. Okay, I'm gonna highlight that at the end." So, yeah, just summarize the thing that really made you go, "Wow, did that come from me?" at the end of your answer, because that's what you want people to remember. Yeah. And getting practical in what you're presenting. Really good. Thank you. Tshiamo, let's jump to you. Any tips?
For Prim specifically, I think for me, it was important to understand why it is I'm running for Prim and have a set vision. I know a lot of people like to come up with their vision and mission and things after they've been elected and they've met the team and whatever else. But I think your vision is very important, because that's essentially the direction you want to take a whole team into.
Yeah.
And you kind of don't want to lead yourself and other people into the blind. So I think once you have that, regardless of what questions you get, that's sort of the background of your answers. So for instance, my big thing this year was leadership support, because, wow. And I think whatever questions that were given to me, especially if they were related to external structures, my answer was sort of based on that, because that's essentially what I really want, right? And then Lisa mentioned, just mention things that you're going to do. If you're gonna go that route, don't promise people big and gorgeous things that are just unattainable. I don't want to be negative, but it's a very, yeah. This university is a little difficult to work in the sense of you literally ask for the bare basics, and then you will quickly find out that you need to fight with like your whole team just to get to a discussion point with the relevant parties, not even get to a point where things are done. So it might not happen. You might have like this big goal and it might not happen in your term, which is fine. I think what's important is that you have an idea of what you want to accomplish and you work towards it in your term. So use caucus or the interviews or whatever as a platform to just express that you are prepared to work and this is the direction you want to work in.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Thank you. I really love that you're touching on knowing your vision before you step up and start speaking to people, and just having that personal vision as the leader of your team, because you are the prim. You never know if you have maybe a group of haka who have just come in for the money. You can't expect that there's going to be this massive vision that everyone is going to agree on once we're all elected or something. So a lot of the time people are going to look to you as the prim for the vision. So if you believe in your vision and you have been already reiterating that vision from caucus already, even the haka coming in with you knows where you want to go. And more often than not, I hope they voted for you because they were like, yeah, I can get behind that vision. Really, really good. Thank you. Let's go to Luyanda. I haven't heard your voice in a while.
So for our process is sort of like two aspects to it. One, we do the caucuses pretty much the same for all leadership structures, like first year com, second year com in particular. The caucus for first year com, second year com is exactly like the caucus for Haka. So by the time you're settled in the house, you know how the whole process works. You know the sort of questions that people ask in the crowd. So if you're a person who's sort of participated either as an applicant or it's just in the crowd asking questions, you know the whole process and like why you want to vote for a specific person. And then like the second part of it is, I believe the best preparation for a caucus to lead a house is to actually be someone who's involved in the house. You cannot stand there and be like, you guys, you know, I want to be prim because I love this res and I stand behind so many of you and I want to support you. And then like the residents don't know who you are because you've never shown participation. So I think if you know your house well enough, you're prepared for any question because you know how things have been done before, you know the faults in it, you know where you want to go, you know how it made people feel in the time when you were in leadership. So just if you're a person who's involved in the house, like the whole process is not as stressful because it's like, I know that I asked myself the same question. That's why I'm here, type of thing.
Yeah, yeah. So good. Yeah. People in your community are very aware of what your reputation is stepping up at caucus or in an interview. And I'm not talking like your social reputation or academic reputation, anything like that, but the part of your reputation that links to you running for prim making sense. So
can I add one more thing? Sorry to interrupt you. This is because we're being honest. If someone here is like watching and wants to do a young prim caucus for Hippokrates, the house does come for you. The expression "the house comes for you" is very much true. And one, you have to understand that the house comes for you for a good reason. It's either because they've seen something in your character that could be flawed in the position, and very rarely do people come because they dislike you. And I think it's important to understand how you are perceived in the house first before you step up. Because, like, I know someone last year who knew that, hey, I'm not a very active person in the house. I'm a very academically orientated hun. Great for me, but now people won't know who I am, and they use that as their forefront. Like, guys, I have been prioritizing academics, but that I want to be involved. So like, as long as you know how you're perceived, they can't really come for you. And like, if you're a problematic human being, they will ask your problematic tendencies. So don't be shocked.
Yeah, so good. Thank you. We love the honesty. We're here for the honesty. And I mean, we're doing this so that we can prepare the next people that need to go through what we've all been through. We want to tell them as much as we can with full vulnerability and honesty, because I'm sure we all have someone who kind of told us or invested in us and prepared us. Definitely your reputation can come up in many a way at a caucus, and people know you, especially with Prim and Haka, because it's the community you've been staying in forever of your university career. So I really like what you're adding there, Luyanda, because it's, if you know that you are seen a certain way, caucus can also be an opportunity for you to say, I know I am seen a certain way because XYZ, and this is my plan for this, if it is a good way or a bad way. Just be honest. People don't necessarily come for you because they want to see you cry at the end of caucus. Like Luyanda was saying, it's because people really care about the position of Prim and how important it is to be a Prim and how influential you can be in the space as a Prim. So they're not going to let you almost fool yourself if they know that there's something that they'd like you to work on before coming into a position where they know themselves they're going to put pressure on you again. Usually the same people that come for you at caucus come for you in the middle of the term through the emails. So withstand that caucus pressure because it's actually preparing you for the pressure of your term. Thank you for that, Luyanda. Thank you. Wade, are you still with us?
I am indeed still with you. So I just want to start off by sort of briefly explaining how the caucus works, because the way our caucus works is that those that are standing as candidates for Haka, they will have their caucus first. If you are standing for both Prim and Haka, then the way it is seen that your Prim speech also counts towards your Haka speech. So once all of the candidates for Haka have gone, and then all of the candidates for Vice Prim have gone, you will go. Vice Prim and Prim work differently. All the candidates will then be asked to leave the venue, and one by one, I think you were there for that. Were you there for our caucus? I think you were. One by one.
Let's say yes for the record.
One by one, you will be asked to come and give your speech. So you are not present for the other Prim and Vice Prim's speeches, nor are you present for the questions. The way the questions work is that you will get, I think, 1 or 2 standardized questions, and then 2 to 3 questions from the House. So I'm not going to lie, caucus is stressful, but something you should understand is that caucus is your place. It is your place to articulate what your vision is. It is your place to tell the House why you are standing in front of them, asking them to put you in a position of power. So both have respect for the fact that what you are asking the House to do, but also understand that they are here to listen to you. So don't be afraid to take those few moments that previous speakers have alluded to. Take that moment, breathe in and out, and think about what you want to say. I had 2 questions. The one question I waffled because I felt like I had to give an answer. And the second question, I took a solid 10 seconds, thought about what I needed to say, and said it. And at the end of the second question, I felt far happier with the answer I had given the House than with the first question. The second thing I would say is be prepared. Be prepared. Like Luyanda says, the House will ask you questions that are challenging. They're not doing it to catch you out. They're not doing it to be mean. Prim is an influential position, and they need to know that whoever they're putting in that position knows their stuff. So know your stuff. I got asked a policy question. Straight up, I got asked a policy question. And luckily, because somebody had told me before the fact that I should know what the Constitution says and what the res rules say, I knew what I was talking about. But it's important that you know that. Know what your House stands for. Know what the policy says. Prims are often seen, I was told straight up, as the custodian of the policy within this res, and then the policy question followed. That's what you are. You were there to uphold policy. You were there to change it if it needs be. So you need to know the policy. Guys, they will ask you questions, tricky questions. But again, not to catch you out, to make sure that you understand the importance of your role. But just to summarize, which is also a good thing to do at the end of when you speak, summarize is it's your position. Tell them what you want to do. Don't make promises because they will hold you accountable to what you say. But tell them what your vision is. Tell them what you want to do. Take a deep breath. Know what you want to say. Say it with your chest.
Beautiful. And thank you, Wade, for you're bringing up the concept of doing your research. Read up on the things that you can get a hold of, and things that you definitely cannot survive not knowing it. Like you can't go around giving this long, winding answer. It's either you know it or you don't. It's like if someone asks you what your surname is, and if you don't know, there's no replacement. Reading your constitution for your committee, constituency, that's the word. Knowing your house values, things like that are things that you cannot escape when you are asked at a caucus. So ask previous leaders, read your constitution. You really don't want to be a strong candidate who gets thrown off because they didn't know their house's values off by heart. Lisa, you said you want to add something.
Wama, I would also just like to add something.
You can go first.
I just wanted to say, as you were speaking now, I remembered. I just wanted to say that also, if you want to, prepare for the questions that people might ask you. By now, normally, if you are standing for Prim, you are at least second year, but mostly you'll be third year going towards fourth year. So you've attended a few caucuses by now, at least one. So you know the questions that get asked. So prepare for them. And if you want to ask your friends, know what the res wants to know. And there's nothing wrong with being prepared for a question you might get, because it means that you are somebody who can think about what the res would want to know and then answer and do your research to answer as well. So that's just what I wanted to say.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for that, Wade. Yeah, preparation is big, and it's not preparing so that you can give this really rehearsed response that will please the crowd. It's preparing so that you present your thoughts and the way you would want to answer that in the best way possible in front of a group of people at a stressful caucus. Thank you, Wade. Lisa, you can finally add.
Thank you. So just when Wade was speaking about people leaving and coming in, I just thought I'd say this. The Prim speeches, you listen to each other's speeches, and if you really want, you can ask each other the questions. The Hakkas, you don't hear each other's speeches. You come in one by one. After you've speeched, you sit down, and then you can listen to the rest of the speeches. And then what I wanted to say is, obviously, like Luyanda said, know yourself, know your res, know what they're going to ask you, but also just things for this caucus. Have a plan for COVID, or have something you're going to answer if someone answers you, like what you're going to say about COVID. Definitely. Yeah. Have some, wait, now I forgot my points. For Meerhoff specifically, think a bit about finances in the res. People like asking you why money is allocated to certain things and why money is not allocated to certain things. And then like a few caucuses now, it looks really bad with the constitution. Then it's like basic questions like noise complaints. And then it will be one of the standardized questions. And then all the candidates will be like, okay, after 11, it has to be quiet. So if this happens, and there'll always be that one or two that doesn't know like the basic, like you don't have to go, like guys, you really don't have to go study like the super detail, well, not for standardized questions, but just like super basic things, like just know it.
Section 32, clause A, B, I don't know how policies are said out loud, but yeah, no, it's very true. At least know the times, the basic things. There's usually posters up in res or on the WhatsApp group somewhere with the things that you really should know, like the real basics that you then supplement with actually reading it up in the Constitution.
Sorry, I remembered my point now. Also be ready for a GBV question, especially if you're male, especially if you're a white male. Like you're going to get a question like that, and it's a very good question to ask in the current climate, but like just like you're going to get it, so just be ready for it.
I'm loving this because we're getting very practical and we're getting very relevant. Thank you. Approach to COVID, finances, GBV. And you know, while you were speaking, I was thinking of something that came up in yesterday's interview, and that was think of an approach to welcoming. Welcoming might be moved up by a month or two. It's already difficult at Tygerberg when it is in February. So also be prepared on what strategy we might need to have for welcoming if it happens later in the year. Yeah, beautiful. Thank you. And then last but not least, Daniel, I'm saving you for last because you have the unique interview situation.
Yeah, so with interviews, for me at least, I didn't have any stress at all. It was not because I was arrogant or, overconfident. It's just because I've had interviews before for different things. And what I've realized is that I was never myself within that interview. I was always too stressed, and then I was too jittery, and sometimes that made that the interview didn't go that well. So specifically to interview, and I think for caucus as well, this can apply for that as well. Just be yourself, like honestly. It sounds cliche, but to go in there with a clear mind and to know who you are and what you stand for, those are really great points or things to keep in your mind when you're answering those questions. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing is before applying even for Prim last year, I wanted to know exactly what does that mean. So I went and contacted the Prim then, Sergio, to ask like, how does your day look like? What are the practical things? Because I'm always like, I was scared at that time, like, okay, I really want this position, but what if, let's say, like, it just doesn't work with my academics and other stuff that I have at the same time going for me. So yeah, those 2 points, being honest to yourself and knowing the practical things around what does a Prim mean. Using those two to go into the interview will really help you, and as well for focus, in my opinion.
Thank you for that, Daniel. Yeah, definitely. And I think the people that are watching this right now, even, this is part of your preparation, and this is part of your research, and this is part of what is actually going to make the interview and caucus smoother for you, because you invested time before caucus so that you can present yourself the best in the interview and the caucus. And when you were talking, Daniel, I remembered, because I worked with Sergio, we were in the same term many years ago, and I remember we were discussing, because this is what Prims do, I'm sure you guys have done it too, but you usually discuss who is interested in your community and taking up your role afterwards. And I remember Sergio was like, yeah, there's Daniel. He wasn't on Hawker before, but I'm telling you, Wama, like, he is everywhere. He's been helping with this, with that, with that, with this, with this, with this, with this. So it really speaks to the fact that...
Yeah, you make me blush, Mama.
Well, what can I say? You have my number.
Yo, I thought he said mama. I was like...
COVID shots, guys. Shoot your shot anytime. But what I really love is that the fact that you are also talking about being yourself. It shows that you came into that interview knowing that being Prim was a natural outlet for something that you were already passionate about, for someone that you already were the whole year or the whole years that you were busy and serving students. It wasn't just a title. It just made sense that the way that you had been serving people and being passionate about Osler and student experience, that you would fall into Prim. So, and that ties in pretty much with what everyone is saying is your reputation, especially Luyanda, when you're speaking about reputation, it really goes back to it. When the house is coming for you, it's because they really want to see the trend in your heart and in your service and in your in the things that you have done and the spaces that they've seen you, does it really make sense that the next step for you is Prim? Amazing. Thank you. I'm loving this. I'm loving that it's getting like real honest and real practical and really helpful. I hope people are finding it very helpful, because I'm taking notes and I'm not running for Prim. So somebody better be running for Prim and taking notes in the chat. We will see. So I am going to ask the next question to Lize and Tshiamo. So just get ready, like prepare, because it's going to get heated. But if any of the other panelists want to add something when they're done answering, please feel free to. But this is a question that I think a lot of students at Tygerberg battle with. It is a fear that we have before stepping into anything that isn't our degree. And that is, how is it going to affect my academics, class time, schedule, especially in the Tygerberg context, especially on our campus. You know how it is. You know how we are. Asking what block you're in or what rotation you're in is the way to say hello at Tygerberg. So academics are a greeting at Tygerberg. So a lot of people really second guess stepping into anything else because they're so worried about what it will actually do to their schedule and what it will actually do to how they study, how much time they have to study. So have you two, can you just share what your schedule looked like? And did you have to make major adjustments academically? I see Luyanda like reacting and he's on mute, and I love it because it's like, I don't need to hear him laughing at me, which I love. But did you have to make any adjustments academically? You don't need to tell us if you went from 100% to 40%. I mean, nobody's going to be sharing your records on Twitter or anything. It's more just, how did it affect academically? Was there more pressure? And yeah, just your schedule, practically, meetings. Yeah, what are you committed to when you're in Prim schedule-wise? Let's start with Rosy Cheeks, Tshiamo.
How stressful? Okay, so yeah, this is such a lit question. You really need to be able to pause Prim to do your job. And I know it sounds weird, not to do your job, to do your academics. I know it sounds weird, but for me, it's so much easier to open my emails thinking I'm going to quickly check the little digest post that the lecturers put up, and then see like 12 new emails and then go ahead and answer that. And then 2 hours later, I'm in this wormhole of paperwork and emails and all of these things. So for me, I really needed to make sure that I set times to do that. And outside of those times, I either need to be living my best life or I need to be living my academic life. So that was something that I realized that I really need to prioritize even more, because I think, because I was on HouseCom before, so I was sort of used to being busy with work, with academics, but the workload that comes with Prim is different, and there is a lot of correspondence that needs to happen, and that needs to happen swiftly. And so the thing of making sure all of my emails are done by the end of the day, making sure I've checked, that sort of thing becomes very important. But yeah, and well, when we were on campus, things are a little bit different now. We had the meetings, the PrimCon meetings that last years. The Tygerberg PrimCon meetings, which started off short, and then those went into long meetings too. And then I remember last year we used to get pulled into all these weird random meetings, and I never understood why I was there. And when we asked, okay, but why are we here? No one had a solid answer, but they needed us there. So just things like that, just be expected to be dragged around for things. So I needed to know that in the evenings, for the time that I've set for work, I generally need to sit down and work and not do Prim work, which is harder than it sounds. Yeah. And I think things always come as a challenge because, for instance, now we're planning HouseCom elections. I'm in the midst of exams, but I needed to make sure that all of my procedures and whatever else are ready, that I have the various committees ready, that the candidates and application forms are sent out, all of these things, even though we have not gotten enough communication from the powers that be. But we power through anyway. So I think, honestly, just dedicating time for things, writing to-do lists, making sure that you actually do your schoolwork. That's like priority number one.
Yeah. Thank you,
Lisa
Tshiamo.
has a life together, so maybe her answer is more snatched than mine.
No, we love it. We want the raw answer. We want people will relate to who they feel that they are. I know for me, I wasn't very like, how can I put it? I didn't have everything in a diary. I just remembered last minute that I had to run to a meeting and I just pitch up sweating. But I got there. But I really like that you are saying don't kid yourself into thinking that you're going to prim for a minute or two by glancing at an email, because I guarantee you, somewhere, somehow, someone has sent you an urgent message. Everything is urgent when it comes to you as prim, from anyone. It is urgent. I spilled my milk in the hallway. It is urgent. It is always urgent. So you'll think you're going to glance at one email and then you see another one and you're like, okay, maybe I can okay. And the next thing you know, 2 hours later, you are studying and it is midnight and you are writing in 4 hours or whatever. So no one else is going to prioritize the parts of your schedule that are not prim if you don't. Maybe family and parents will, but even they can only do it from a distance. No one necessarily comes to you and goes, hey, I know I voted for you to be prim, but I just want to make sure that you're okay. Did you eat dinner today? Did you study? No, they go, I voted for you because you're prim. Hey, so someone's making noise next door. I know you're studying and I'm sorry. And I know you haven't eaten and I'm sorry, but can you do something about the noise? So don't feel guilty about prioritizing things that are not prim in your term, because it's part of making sure that you are whole and healthy so that you can actually fulfill your role better for your house. You don't want to pour out of an empty cup. Thank you. I think Wade is like burning to say something. Or
no, I think you guys misunderstood me. So sorry. I was more commenting on what Tshiamo said about turning prim off when you need to study. That's I was like, guys, this point that Tshiamo is busy saying is vital. Please take it to heart. That's what I meant. Like, write it down, make it big, put it on a poster, frame it in front of your desk.
Like, highlight it. I think I should just tweet it and Insta it and YouTube. I don't know, whatever you do with the quote, but I'll share it. Oh no, I'll put it on my vlog.
Is it
Can I just
Tumblr?
say,
Don't you put the quotes on Tumblr?
Can I just say, there's like a do not disturb thingy on my phone. This thing is my life. If I'm not like free and I know, listen, these next 4 hours, I need to pull a miracle for dermatology, this thing goes on and my phone goes in the cupboard and whatever will happen because for that 4 hours, I belong to dermatology and nothing else.
When you want to study, lock your phone away. That is so true. Lock your phone away and turn your emails off. It is really. Also, to add on to that, don't be afraid to put a sign on your door saying, do not disturb. And then ignore the knocks.
Keep it locked.
If you want to know how to ignore the knocks, talk to me.
I know we probably have like a young routine going on. Wade's point is so vital because in Hippo, the prim flat is in the foyer and everyone remembers your existence when they pass. And they're like, oh my God, how are you? Like, leave. So it's very vital that you, like, even if you are there, you are not available. Like, even if you're online, does not mean you're available. And, like, you have to be willing to be like, guys, I'm sorry. Like, SARS, I know you voted for me, but me, I also have a life. And you have to be selfish, and that's okay because, like, there's no way you can give your all. Like, it's genuinely not, like, feasible. Also, for me, for this particular question of, like, managing things, like, you are not the only person on the haka. So like delicate, especially to your VPs. I have no idea how Rez's would want a VP do it, but like, and I don't know, maybe it's just because I had great VPs and we had such a good dynamic. But like, I could leave my phone for like a day and not worry that the house is burning because okay, William just got it. To have that good dynamic and sort of discuss these things. The greatest advice that we got from the past Pops team was that like it's okay to take some time off as well. Like they recommended like maybe we take a week off and tell each other, be like, hey, I can't do this week, and so that I used a lot and like we were interchangeably be like, guys, so
Your network is gone. Oh, there, Luyanda.
That's so on brand. I hate it here.
I love that it was perfect for you to say that though. Wow.
It is what it
Like-
is. I'll just touch on the points later.
Yeah, just put them all in the chat. But I mean, we got the gist of everything you were saying. It was just that last bit where the network was like, I get goodbye. But really, it's I know a lot of the time people talk about an open door policy, and I don't think I've ever used those words in my leadership ever. And I respect people who can do open door policy. Like, that's amazing. I love you. You are doing the most. But for me, my room was the one place where I was like, oh my gosh, okay, can I just prioritize myself for a second? And if it means that I cannot open the door for that knock, it means that I cannot. You don't know how many times people will be like, Wama, I know you're there. It's not urgent or anything. Can I meet with you tomorrow or something? I'll be like, yeah, sure, bye. If there's really nothing wrong with that, like Wade said, you can put a do not disturb sign outside your door. Sometimes, you know, like Luyanda is pointing out, people don't even want to say a point. They don't want to complain. They just want to say hi. And you know how much a hi can disturb your study regime. So put that do not disturb sign. Tshiamo, I know that do not disturb function on the phone. I have used it very recently. Check your phones. It is there. You can actually block all phone calls except for like family and friends, and block all like social media and stuff. That's what I did for a while. And it's really good. It's really healthy. And like Luyanda says, there is still a team. It's not just you. If the prim is gone, then there's no leadership. No, that's why we delegate and we instill trust in our teams. Thank you. Jeez, I love these. I love these like wise pearls that are coming from everyone. Lisa, after that.
You guys have been taking jokes. So I think I'm gonna like differ a bit from you guys. And I feel like this part of being prim is going to change the most according to your personality and who you are and which race you are. So I think this is the main thing that like speak to the prim you think your personality is the closest to and hear how they did it. For me, I think the biggest thing with prim is your first like 2 months of being prim is very, very busy. And then, or like a month, we had GBV in that time. So then we had like 5 meetings a week. So we were very busy, but you're also just busy with like haka organizing things in that time. And then after that, how busy you are is very dependent on what is happening. So if GBV happens, you're very busy. When alcohol policy happens, you're very busy. When nothing like that's really happening, then you're a bit calmer. So you'll have your haka meeting every Monday for most of us, which is, let's say, an hour and a half. Every Tuesday, you'll have or Tygerberg Prim Committee, which is a bit shorter, 1 hour and a half, 2 hours accordingly. And then you'll get your Prim Committee on Stellenbosch, which means you leave at 6 on campus and you come back at 11 or 12. Because if the meeting is long, you're meeting that whole time. If it's not long, you go to Vice-Chairperson afterwards, and then you only come back. So that's fine because you can plan your life and you know what's like happening. And some people like study in those meetings. I can't do that. But like if you're really stressed, like a lot of people like do that. So it's really fine to do that. But because those things are planned and you know about it, it's fine. I think the main thing about Prim for me that was different than haka and is also different than VP is you can't plan your time. in the sense of if alcohol policy is happening and they let you know 10 minutes before that a meeting is happening on Stellenbosch, so you already should have left 20 minutes ago, you low-key have to jump in your car and go, or make sure one of the Tygerberg prims are going. And if there are random meetings on like weird stuff that happens, you have to be there and you can't plan that. And it's very last minute. You have to push immensely to get any response out of the university. So then you can't plan your time. So I feel like Prim is very like you have to have your priorities straight. For me, my priority was firstly to my Haka team, because they mostly serve the house, and they serve the house through your leadership. But you have less like direct contact with the house than they do, because they organize everything. You know what I mean? And then it's also to the house on a whole. And then it's to random faculty members that think everything is urgent. Like, decide if someone says something urgent, decide for yourself if it's urgent. But always know what your first priority is, because of many things, especially with faculty, you're going to have to pick which lane you're following. And you always, I personally feel you should always pick the lane that is best for your team and your house, and then fight for that lane and focus all your energy on it. And then I would say someone asked a question about clinical rotations. For me, clinical rotations was honestly not that bad, because people are understanding. And if you have a clinical rotation, usually if you tell your doctor, hey, I'm Prim, I have a meeting, I'm going to be away for an hour on my call, no one has a problem with that. Many times you can split call, and then your like clinical members don't have a problem that the call like works out with it. And clinical blocks actually is nicer for me, because the tests are usually much less work and also a bit easier. So like if a lot of things happen, you have to be at a lot of meetings, you still have enough time to study, where theory blocks is a bit different. So yeah, for me, I think if someone knocks on my door, like I'll basically always open, but I'm not like Hippo or Francie, where like everyone knows where my room is, because I didn't take the prim. So people would usually message me. So yeah, for me, like Prim, how busy you are is very dependent on what's happening in your community. You can have a very chilled or like a very rough Prim term. And yeah, I don't think, and I also believe, like personally, the busier you are, the better you organize. So it doesn't, like being Prim doesn't automatically mean your marks are going to go down. Like it really doesn't. Except if you're like one of those 90%ers that like study the whole day, then you're not going to be studying the whole day anymore. But yeah, that's it from me.
Thank you, Lisa, because you are. It's just showing for everyone who's listening and watching at whatever time you'll be listening and watching, that a Prim term and the Prim schedule and experience can be so different, but it is all affected by what you're prioritizing in the moment. So I think the most important thing is to definitely know what your bottom line is. No matter what situation you're in, know what your bottom line is. There are times where you're going to go, okay, I did say I'm going to study from 5 to 6 or from 5 to 8. But if something does come up, I can definitely start at 6, but no later than 6. So if that means that there's a discussion happening all the way in Stellies and it is going to eat into 6 p.m., sorry, it's not happening. And that depends on your priority in that moment. And also, you know your ability. If I skip my 5 to 8 study session today, I know I can wake up at 4 and study from 4 to 7 or something. You know what you are able to make up for, because everything that you contribute time to, you are taking time away from something else. So whatever exchange you allow yourself to be in, make sure that you are very wary of what you are losing time for and how you're going to catch that up. Okay, beautiful. Yeah, and I think clinical rotations, it's really not as stressful as people think. I know in welcoming week, that's when it was a bit shaky for me, but you can select which rotation to start with. So make sure that you choose a rotation that is not going to take you out of Stellenbosch, which is what happened. I mean, out of Tygerberg, which is what happened to me. I was gone, awkward. And don't choose a rotation that is going to have you in hospital start to finish, even though there is no such rotation in your third, fourth, and half of fifth year. So it's really not that. People are raising their hand, and I don't even know how to look at that. It's not that it's not as scary, and it's not as different really as managing your general academic schedule. Lisa, I see a hand next to your mic. You're muted. I love it. I got to say it.
I just wanted to say one thing, and that is one of the most unproductive things that waste a lot of time in your prim term is this little thing, and people will be ranting a lot, people would be discussing a lot, and it's okay, it's fine. So just Tshiamo was really good with this, but if you're busy studying, put your phone on silent, put it away. It's going to save you literal hours, because others you'll be studying for 10 minutes, answering a message, studying for 10 minutes, and then take when you're done, take a long time to answer everything. Nothing in a message is ever that urgent, because if it's something is really urgent, they can call you.
So good. So good. Unless it's like me and I've got my do not disturb on, but I usually let people know how to find me. You know how to find me. Thank you. I really don't know who else raised their hand, guys. Technology and I are not friends, but I will come back to it. Was it Tshiamo?
Yeah.
Those rosy come through.
My goodness. So this year we actually didn't get to choose our rotations. We were just placed in groups that in rotations that are based in Tygerberg. So they just needed to know who's on housecom. So you're staying in Tygerberg, and that's the end of it. It depends, again, in which department you're working with and how nice they are, because I needed to leave for Stellenbosch the one day, and I was told, go, but see you on Saturday. So I had to do the whole connect production thing, come back at midnight, 1 a.m., and then be up by 7 so I can be in the hospital before 8. So yeah, it depends. But I think, yeah, rotations were pretty okay. You just need to communicate with your doctors and they'll do the things for you.
Yes. So good. Yeah, you might find yourself having to do some random catch-up session somewhere, but I've never heard of someone who has been in leadership and had to excuse themselves from some aspect of clinical rotation who has then been told that they're going to fail. If it means you come in the Saturday, you come in the Saturday, but it is still very doable and very manageable. All right, so I don't want to just stay on this because there's more.
Wama,
Yes.
I just want to add one thing, is that don't forget you have a vice prim. When it comes to clinical rotations, don't forget you have a vice prim, and try and make sure that you and your vice prim aren't on the same rotation. Guys, it is very easy to quickly swap. For you to become vice prim for a week and your vice prim to become prim. Speak to them, tell them that this is something that might happen, and then use them. Ask them to fill in. Guys, please remember that.
Thank you, Wade. Yeah, I think we are so afraid to look as if we are messy or disorganized when you're switching with your VP or your prim. But if that means that is the most efficient way to serve your house in that time, rather do that than trying to pretend like you've got everything all together. Kanti, you haven't replied to 1,000 emails because you are sleeping in hospital, trying to be on call in your third year or something. So don't be afraid to do something that another student wouldn't typically have to do in a rotation or in that position, just because you need to adapt the fact that you are prim, be it coming in on a Saturday, be it switching with your VP. I know I abandoned my VP for a month. She had to be prim on her own. I was gone, but she was great. She thrived. Is she here? she thrived. And I mean, now she's on TSR and she's probably going to be the president of the country. So really, who won there? The world won. Thank you very much. All right, so I want to get into the next question. And I'm going to start with Daniel because we haven't heard from him in a bit. And Daniel, my question is, was there any difficult situation or really challenging task, environment, happening, event, anything that was really tough that you remember from your term that you are willing to share? I mean, you don't have to go too deep into details. And how did you overcome that challenge or those challenges? And do you have advice for someone who might go through that same challenge again, a way to approach it or a way you wish you had approached it? Yeah, I will ask Daniel, and Luyanda, I'll come for you as well.
Cool. Yeah, no. Oh, sorry. I keep interrupting because my Wi-Fi is a bit off. But yeah, like what you just described, like tough situations and things that come up and kind of, you know, mess with your orientation. That's basically Prim, especially this year. I'll just give the examples that happened this year. So literally the first month when we came in, we had the gender-based violence that just started, and it was something that actually surprised me, because I didn't realize how emotionally charged it can become and drained this whole situation is. That was like the biggest thing for me. There's now the house that you have to, you're basically in a position of power, so you can do things that no ordinary student can really do. You can have the meetings with the people, the discussions, work up on the plans. So that's the first thing that takes your energy. And then you've got your class. That's also, there's especially on Tygerberg, your class is a proper unit. And when things like this happen, they become emotionally distressed and you become emotionally distressed, and it just adds on to it. And then you've got the academics and everything just piling up until you come to a point where you feel almost, I don't know where I'm supposed to go. What am I supposed to do? And it was really, that was like the first, you have to become a little bit, you have to take a step back. That's the advice that I want to give with something like that. You have to take a step back whenever something gets too emotional, so that you can look at it at a practical way, and so that you do not become too drained. Like you said, Wama, someone else in the meeting, you can't pour from an empty cup. Same with this, you can't fix problems when you are emotionally drained. So that's like one thing. With the alcohol policies, that was just more admin and bureaucracy and being frustrated when your thoughts and ideas aren't being heard. That's one thing. And then with the COVID, again, you've got these emotional problems coming up, and then you've got all these other things, and then a second wave of the gender-based violence.
Yeah.
It's I want to say, I'm not sure how it was in your term, Wama, but I've got a feeling this is kind of what it means to be Prim, is having all these difficult things taking place, and then just knowing, when should I be, when must my emotions settle down a bit and take a back seat while my practical and logical things can take place. So it's tough. It was really tough, but you get through it and you become stronger out of this whole thing. Like that's, I feel as if with what happened now and a month ago, I dealt with that a bit better than what I dealt with it at the beginning of my term, with the gender-based violence. So yeah, this is a learning curve, but it's manageable.
Thank you, Daniel. Yeah, every term of priming, everyone has it's almost like the challengers kind of have a caucus somewhere in the world, and then they decide to come all at once in every different like shape and form. So it happens every year of priming. There's always something that a prim remembers that they went through, and they're like, how did we get through that? How did we do fees must fall? How GBV twice? How COVID, a pandemic? There's always something. It's almost like the world is like, we want you to remember that you were prim in this year, and this is how you remember. But I really like what you were talking about in terms of your emotions and being very aware of your emotional state when all of these challenges are happening, because you can easily get swept up in that thing of, I have to look very put together. I have to have some solution to the problem. I know everyone else at the meeting is crying, but I can't cry. But I've really found that people have a lot of respect for vulnerability. You don't need to always look like you are in control and you have an idea and you have a plan. It is really fine to go, this is hitting me as hard as it is hitting you. And right now I'm speechless and I'm open to suggestions. Please throw them at me. You don't always have to be the one spewing out suggestions for the world. Thank you, Daniel. I see in the chat that there are people wanting to ask questions. I think type them in the chat so long, and then when we come to the end, we will see how many of those we can get to. But just type them in the chat so long, and then I'll peek in there at some point in time. I hope. Luyanda, this is your time to shine as well.
When have I not been tested? Guys, can I just say, one of the first times that like we as Tygerberg Prims got together, alcohol was involved. It was the beginning of our term. We were trying to get our shit together. We were like, yeah, I exposed y'all. So yeah, like Daniel said, like 2 waves of GBV. Personally, for me, the room points in Hippo was a big mess. It was the pandemic, and I think the biggest thing to just sum it up is sort of that as a prim, everything is your problem. It is like you have the responsibility, even if it's like a worldwide global problem, you have the responsibility to be like, hey, people in my house are strongly affected by this, so it becomes your problem. But what was hard for me, I think, in my term was that I sort of had the assumption that even if I was great at my job, like I thought if I was great at my job, there'd never be a time when, I'd be called out, or there'd ever be a time when I had to account for something. But that's not true. Like, you can do your job pretty great. And I was, if I do say so myself, because no one else will. But a lot of the times I had to account for things that went wrong, but that weren't I wasn't responsible, be it the Haka team as a whole, be it faculty side. Like, alcohol policy was not our doing, but we had to be accountable for that. We had to take the heat from the house. Imagine telling Hippokrates there's no alcohol. We have a bar. It did not go well for me. Like, imagine having a meeting where people are asking about the alcohol policy, and you're like, faculty said nothing, and then that very night being like, oh, so yeah, we can't have Hippobri, and being blackmailed by faculty as well. So there's a lot of things that aren't, like, you don't do wrong, but they happen to you, and you sort of have to be the person to adjust and be like, okay, this problem came out of nowhere, but I have to find a solution with my team. It has to solve now. Be it a resident is going through something, crisis management. Yeah, man, everything becomes your problem, and you have to solve it. And there's no getting away. There's no run around. There's no, maybe if I just wait a month, it's going to go away. It doesn't, because then you're letting people down.
Yeah. Yo, so good. So good. I feel like, Luyanda, I don't know why, but I feel like I was always around when you were going through the most. I definitely remember the room point saga, and I was like, wow. And it's actually really funny because whenever you are a retired leader and you hear what the people who've come in after you are going through, you're always like, oh my gosh, I could never have gotten through it. Like, it could never have been me. But you face challenges yourself that you actually got through. So yeah, I'm sure there's people listening going, oh wow, if it was me. I remember seeing Luyanda go through the most at house meeting, da da da. It always looks like if it was me, I could never have. But when it is you, you will find the have, you will find the way. And even if you don't, like, there is so much grace in leadership that people don't even realize that there is. Like, um, I don't know of a Twitter page where Tygerberg's worst leaders are leaked and the biggest mistakes and the worst things that were said at a caucus and blah blah blah. Like, there's no such thing as that. No one remembers the mistakes and the bloopers as much as I think we ourselves remember it in our heads. Like, it keeps you up at night and you're like, oh, I mispronounced one word at house meeting. They'll never trust me again. So yeah, thank you. And thank you for being so vulnerable and honest.
Also, on that, capitalize on your wins. Like, each time something happens and it's great, just like remind the house, hey, remember how you got Wi-Fi? Remember how you got furniture? That was great.
Yeah.
Because they will remember all the bad stuff, but never the good stuff.
Yeah, so good. I think a good strategy is to just start off your house meeting with, who would have thought that at this house meeting we'd have Wi-Fi and we would have food and we would have free ice, whatever it is that's good. Just start it off because house meeting, people will ask questions and whatever. And even if it's not house meeting, just always have it on your lips, the victories, the victories, the victories, because it is like Luyanda says, people don't remember. I know John said in a speech that he gave, John's very good at speeches. He said that leadership is a thankless job. And it is so true because people don't necessarily come back to thank you, but it doesn't mean that they're not thankful. Like, they see they got Wi-Fi, they're happy they got Wi-Fi, and they thank you in their hearts and in their minds. But the next thing now is the next complaint, is the next problem, because they see you could solve this problem, they want you to solve the next one. So just because people aren't in your DMs thanking you or hugging you and saying thank you, it doesn't mean that they're not grateful for what you have done, which is why you need to constantly remind yourself of the victories, because you don't want to be in that headspace where you're like, actually I had a really bad term because a water pipe burst near our res that one time when it was the pandemic and everyone had to wash their hands. Yeah, thank you. So I think I will ask this to all of you, really, because I'd actually like to hear all your answers, but I'll just ask that you keep it like concise, because it's a pretty direct question. I know that you have all been through something really tough in your prim term, or maybe the whole of your prim term was difficult. You know the challenges you faced, what you had to overcome, what you learned, how you grew, what challenged you, all of that. But knowing what you know now, sitting here in this interview, if you knew everything you know now, if you knew everything you would go through for being prim, and then if I could send you back in time to the you that was applying for prim this time last year, if you told that you everything that you was going to go through, would that you still run for prim? Yeah, Wade, we haven't heard you in a while, so come through.
Wama, this is a question. I don't know if my colleagues agree, but this is a question.
Yeah.
Honestly, so I'm going to answer this by saying two things. Yes. Knowing everything I know now, yes. Because even though I've had a very challenging term, and everybody who has ever been prim has had a challenging term, I would still do it because there's always that one thing that makes it worth it. There's always that one thing. And it could be as small as a resident saying that you have inspired me to become prim. That one sentence would be enough for you to go, you know what? I would do this again. And having the knowledge that I have now, it would make it 10 times easier. But knowing Murphy's Law, there'd be different challenges. But still,
Yeah.
I would.
Wow.
I would. That is what, like, and if I were to add a piece of advice, it would be whoever wants to stand for Prim and whoever succeeds in running for that Prim, that position, that Prim, look for that thing. Remember it, hold on to it, and let it pull you through. Like, remember, like Luyanda said, don't only capitalize on your wins, but remember them.
Sure, so good. Woo! I literally got like a shiver. Did you see my shiver? I love it. Got me a little
But
emotional.
still, it's a question. This was a question.
It really is a question.
I just want to say it's a question.
It really is a question. And the thing is, when I asked it, I got emotional because I was like, if I knew everything and I could go back, I wonder. But anyway, today is not my day.
honestly, when you asked it, I wanted to say no, but now I would actually do it in a heartbeat. If I could travel back to third year Wade, having not been a hawker before, sitting with my pod and John was in my pod, who is a previous Prim and chairperson of the TSR, and asking him 10,000 questions. And future me popped up and said, look here, A, B, and C, D, F, G is going to happen while you are Prim. Do you still want to do this? I would convince myself to do it.
So good.
I mean, I'd love to see John's face and not be like, wait, a pandemic? You going to do it still?
Like, how pandemic? Like, are we talking pandemic?
Are we talking? Guys, I would actually, that's true. But also, I just want to say, and this is just an aside to anybody who knows me, I'm more interested in the face that John would make having two Wades stand before him.
If you know John, I think if someone can, like, I'm sure there's a memeable picture of John. Just like share it in the chat. We love you, John. If you're listening to this, do not come from my edges. It was Wade. It was all Wade. I think, Luyanda, because you jumped in here, it shows that you are ready to answer. I saw you going through the most when I asked, looking at different angles, tilting the neck, but looks like you're ready. Looks like you're ready. Pull through.
Absolutely, I would have still done it. I don't know if maybe because I'm just stubborn or I stick to my plans, but like again, being Prim wasn't something that happened in a whim. I had planned it, so I'd probably be like, I have a plan, like, and I'm like, I'm you, and like, I don't trust you. But 1000%, because like there were times when like things were hitting the fan. But I knew that I was doing my best and I was able to, at my capacity, advocate for the 277 people in my res, 276. I knew that I could do my best to push all of knowing them what they would want. And I knew that at whatever table I sat in, I didn't represent myself. I represented over 200 people who put their trust in me and to sort of be able to make good decisions for the res. So I was 1000% I'd do it again because given the chance to advocate for them, I did.
Sure. Beautiful. I think by the time you all answer, I just might cry from these answers because I'm like, this is real, like, servant leadership to know what's coming and still be like, yeah, it's worth it. But I mean, no judgment. If someone is going to answer and say, no way, I mean, that's fine also. Let's go to Lize. Haven't heard from you in a while. Did she run away?
Can't hear me. I said, so I said, sorry, my mom just brought me coffee, so now I'm very happy. So I would definitely do it again. And I think just in short, the things that make it, like, it's small things that make it worth it, but just overall, my hardcore team definitely made it worth it for me 100%. And I think the most important and the best thing is to have a good relationship with your VP and that you guys understand each other. Because they can help you a lot. Or I don't know, if you guys don't click, it's going to be a mess.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you. Yeah, the better your team dynamics and the trust relationship in the team is, just the less of a burden it all feels, less burdensome it all feels. Yeah, that's the English. Thank you, Lisa. Tshiamo with them rosy cheeks.
I probably would have told myself to buy a metaphorical bulletproof vest because yay.
Why are you saying something so controversial yet so true? Why would you say that?
Whoa. And the thing is, not a bulletproof vest because you're going into an actual you generally think that you're going there and everyone has the students in mind and everyone's residents are in mind and surely we just want to make our lives better. Turns out you really just need to fight for the basics, which I didn't think. But I learned a lot about myself this year. I've ruffled some hectic feathers, and that unfortunately portrayed itself into my professional life at meetings and in other situations. But I ruffled feathers because of the people in my house. I ruffled feathers because something was directly infringing on those people, and I will do it again and again and again. Just because I think the whole purpose of us being here is just to make sure that we have the people that we live with in mind, because I think a lot of things are done and they're just generic to hopefully a good thing happening in the end, and people don't necessarily see all of the negatives that whole process may bring. So you're literally just there to say, whoa, there's a problem here. This is not going to affect us the way you think it is. Let's redirect, let's rethink. Whoop, you didn't think this through clearly. Here I am. And that's the job. I did the job. It was more aggressive than I thought it was gonna be. But yeah, I would.
Wow. We love to see it. We love to see it. Yeah. And I think a lot of people think that you have to be someone who is really aggressive coming into Prim, ready to fight. A lot of the time, you're really just a kind-hearted, sweet, gentle human who is ready to work with the institution and shake hands and, build a better future. But you find after being sweet, gentle, kind, and lovely, you're just not getting heard after a while, and then you adapt. So don't look at a Prim who has been in the game for a while and go, oh, I couldn't do it because I don't have that type of confidence. I'm not brave enough to stand up to management. I wasn't brave enough to stand up to management before I stepped in. And then things happened. Things were said. And I was like, not in the name of Francie. So, Prim will give you that cape. Prim will give you that confidence. Any leadership title really can give you that confidence to go, okay, it's not about Wama's feelings. It's not about Tshiamo's feelings. It's not about how scared or intimidated I am by this person. It's about the rest, and it's about my responsibility and role. Thank you. Daniel, coming to you, because I saw it looked like you were struggling. Saw you nodding, shaking.
Yeah, no, because it's like when you ask this question, you think immediately about all those bad things. Like, this is all the bad things, the struggles that you're gonna have to go through. But I also just thought, well, if I were to go back to my, back a year ago, and I'll tell myself everything, I would also though speak about the good things, like how an awesome team I had, which I like, they are awesome friends now. How I actually felt as if I had a purpose in life. It's really, it gives you, it fulfills you. This job really fulfills you. And that's also the most important thing, I think. If you can at least see yourself being fulfilled by this job, then you know this is the position for you. It's not about the money because you're not getting paid enough. It's not enough at all. So this is really, there's so many, there's like, I think 80% good stuff and 20% bad stuff. And I would definitely do it again just for that 80%. Yeah, for the 80% good stuff. So yeah, that's my answer.
Yo, so good. 80%, 20%. Yeah, and I think a lot of the time the 80% is hidden from the public eye. It kind of happens indoors, it happens personally within yourself. And that 20% it's always in the public eye. So it's the thing that you remember because you remember it with the people. And then that 80%, it's like, if you don't remember it, no one else remembers it. So good. Wow, wow, wow. And I love that you're bringing up the fact that being prim does not have to take away from you. It doesn't have to be this draining, I'm always giving. It actually can add to you. It can add to your growth. It can add to having positive memories, having your, I love that you mentioned the money, because in all of these interviews, I promise you guys can watch them all. Nobody mentions the money being worth it. Nobody goes, and I mean, guys, if all else fails, at least you're getting paid. No one has said that because we all know. I actually said that by the beginning, like the first 2 months of your term, you've probably spent more money than you're going to get paid in your first like salary check, and you don't realize it. Salary check, who am I, American? But anyway, you don't realize it because it's in the little things. A student tells you they're stranded at McDonald's, you get them an Uber. You check, a student has an episode, they're feeling sick, they're not well, you drive them through to this. You want to spoil your team with a meal, so you order pizza for everyone. Like you don't realize how much, okay, I'm not like that, I'm not balling, but you don't realize how much little cash.
Tshiamo was like, I was your team, where's that pizza?
We never had pizza, sis. We never had pizza.
Literally. At what meeting was this pizza? Because I wasn't there.
We're absent. So
Guys, why are we outing each other like this?
we have to be honest. Yeah, no, the money will definitely never, ever be worth it. And I think that's also something that people see through at caucus. If they see that you're in it for the money, they're going to come for you, not because they just want to embarrass you, no, but because they know you are not going to last the term if you think that the money is going to make it worth it for you. By the time that first bid comes, you've already spent it. Like, you spend what you're going to earn before you get it. And then by the time it comes, you're already paying people back. So it's definitely not worth it. All right. So I don't want this to drag on any longer, because I know it's not dragging. I mean, it's amazing, but I know it's exam season and people are scheduling. Yeah. So this is going to be my final question. And it's very vague, very open-ended. It is something that I've asked everyone, and it's pretty much how I now come to conclude the questioning from my side, at least. And that is, if someone who was listening to this is really considering being prim in the community that you represent, in any community, you know someone who's considering being prim, or someone listening to this is really considering it, what is something that you really want to say to them? Something that you really wish someone had said to you before, or you want to echo something you said before in this interview, just a solid piece of advice. If they're second guessing applying, should they just do it? Yeah, like, what is, if they forget everything you said in this interview, everything, the only thing they're going to remember are your last words now, what do you want those words to be? I love what happens when I ask these questions, because Wade and Luyanda, you both literally, like, you angled your heads. So now I know your thinking posture. I don't know if you're hoping the answer's gonna like fall upon, but you're gonna see in the recording later. It's beautiful. You literally were like, oh boy. Okay, I'll start with Tshiamo because she didn't angle her head. So surely she's got it all down pat. She's ready.
She was like, I hope she starts with anyone but me. This question. I think the one thing that was important for me this term was just to remind myself, and I think I got that from Slee. Slee played her role as TPK chair and as a friend very well. It's just to remind yourself just how lit of a leader you are and the efforts that you've gone through and just how much that in itself is. Because I think it gets to the point where you don't see things happen, or you see things happen, but you're working to sort of turn them around or whatever else it is. And things aren't materializing that well, and the world is ending. There's a pandemic, there's GBV, Black lives apparently only matter now and on social media, not in real life, and all of these things. And I think there are some people that use opportunities where everything is like going wrong to sort of say, yeah, okay, let's go. Prim, what's up? And I think in moments like that, you really just need to remember that, listen, you really are an incredible person, first and foremost. And regardless of what happens, just remember your true self and all of that good stuff, because it will be tested. And you yourself could forget that little bit of information. And that's the whole reason you're doing this. So just support yourself, back yourself. And if you're thinking about it, you might as well. Literally, people come and they ask me at like midnight, like, hi, do you think I should do it? Babes, it kept you up until this point of the night. Surely.
Yeah. So good. Thank you. Yeah. I really love what you were saying there at the end. I find that people tend to listen to that voice that tells them why they can't more than the voice that's telling them why they can. The fact that you tuned into this interview, the fact that you're asking your prims, do you think I'll be good? Do you think I should do it? Do you think that means that there is a part of you that genuinely believes that you can? Why not listen to that one a bit more than the part of you that's reminding you why you cannot? Because both of those voices are in there, and you're choosing which one to spend more time listening to. Beautiful. Let's give it to one of the anglers, Wade.
Wama, I just have a question for you. Were any of your other interviews this amazingly chaotic, or is it only because you know us personally?
I mean, I think the definition of chaos is very subjective. For me, this has gone.
Are you sure?
This has gone 100% according to plan. I always plan for a little bit of chaos.
I think this interview might have just been a bit more personal. I don't know. I haven't really seen any of the others, but guys, if you want to know what it's like being Prim, what some of the good things of being Prim is, take the way we sort of respond off of each other and the way we can joke with each other and the way we can banter, because honestly, that is what it's like. And it's not only between the Prims and Tygerberg that this happens. It's between you and your VP. It's between you and your team. It is between you and other leaders. It's really amazing. And if I were to say one thing, don't be afraid to be unapologetically yourself.
Yeah.
Know why you want to do this. Take it and run with it. And you do you, boo. You lead the team in the way that you think will be best. You lead the res in the way that you think will be best. Remember, ultimately, you're doing this for other people, but you are doing this for other people. So be true to who you are and do it with your chest. And don't be afraid to ruffle those feathers, because they need ruffling. They've been smooth and pristine for far too long. Unapologetically be yourself. Be true to who you are and why you want to do this. And if anybody is thinking about doing this and would like to ask questions, hit me up, guys. Don't be afraid. I am honest. I will tell you all of the things, and we can laugh a little bit about the term that has been 2019, 2020. But yeah, guys, but yeah, guys, be true to yourself, please.
Yeah. Thank you, Wade. Beautiful. Luyanda. the next angler?
I think what would have helped me at the very beginning is just get rid of all your inhibitions, man. Not everyone in the house is gonna vote for you. But if you are selected, your people want you in the position. Not like, and there's people who are probably gonna be on your team who wanted the position of Prim, and you sort of feel like, am I doing enough for them as well? Because now I took their job opportunity away. Get rid of all your inhibitions. You are the moment. Like Tshiamo said, you're a great leader. You made it here, and 100% back yourself and say with your chest. Like, it's important to realize that, like, look, you're the shit, because again, no one really reminds you. Faculty makes sure that you really don't feel like you're doing anything. Yeah, so remember that you are a good leader and that, like, you did this job for a reason, and 100% back yourself. Don't second guess yourself. Don't think, oh, what would someone else have done? No, you. This is your role. This is your moment. This is your team. This is your term to make the changes you want to, do. And then with that one that Wade said, guys, the support system, like, what I want you to know is that if you run, you're never gonna feel alone, because the amount of times I have walked to eNkanyini just to hug Wade, the amount of times I have, like, seen Tshiamo at the library and been like, psst, hey, what you studying? Just so that I could have some interaction of someone who knows what we're going through. Those rides to main campus together, sitting at the Nielsen. You have the best team, and I kid you, I don't think there's any time when Tygerberg Prim Committee or Prim Committee, but Tygerberg Prim Committee in particular doesn't support each other. And Tygerberg Prim Committee Chair Slee did a great job, and we became each other's support system right away. So.
It's very true. I also know from my Prim term that I am still best friends with the people I was Prim with. And it's not like we knew each other before coming in. But the challenge, we're always going through it together. And no one really understands what you're going through better than another Prim. I know I've gotten, like, way darker, but also melanin is beautiful. So let's just accept that this is happening. Yeah, the Prim committee, especially the Tygerberg Prim committee, that is your safe space. That is where you can honestly vent about everything. I know Sivi and I and Kristen and Sergio, we were, guys, no, I'm not even going to go into it. And Jess, of course, but guys, there were times when we would just unpack things that the world must never hear, but our dear Biaka world could hear and could process and could relate to. I see a hand. Am I seeing right? Or was that?
Yes, it is I forgot to mention something. When it comes to the support system and backing each other, no one has your backs more than these people in a meeting when you're texting to be like, guys, I'm making sense, right? And, like, someone say something and you're like, Liza, what you're saying makes sense. And you have to be like, I second what Liza said. Like if you need, like, ammunition are the people you work with. Like, oh, guys, I miss y'all so much.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so glad I could facilitate this reunion. I'll send my account details for the payment because this is like hard work. Jokes. Thank you so much for that, Luyanda. Lisa, you still here?
So, Mama, I hate you for this question because I have no clue how to answer this question. And in the beginning, I was really focusing on getting an answer. And then I just started listening to these people. And I'm like, oh, yes. One thing, just when you go to PK, make sure your phone is charged because the Tygerberg group chat is lit in those meetings. Yeah. So never forget to charge your phone for those meetings. And then, I really don't know how to answer this question.
Or charge them at the venue. Like, you can.
Yeah.
You can
never go to Stellenbosch with your Tygerberg fellow Prims with a flat battery on your phone. You do not want to do that. Trust me, you don't.
All I'm saying is Donnie always had a power bank and I live my best life through that power bank.
I love it.
But like
guys.
more seriousness, I feel like being prim is kind of being like the last parachute. So if there's a calm and one of your house members like can't figure something out, or welcoming is coming up and you don't have money and the university says it's too late, and I don't know, like anything that happens to one of your committee members and they can't figure it out, they come to you. And when something outside of your community happens, like alcohol policy, like you're your committee's and your Res's representative, and you're the one person that can like you have the power to make change and the power to present them. And yes, it's a struggle and things don't work out and you think it's going to be much easier than it actually is. But having that opportunity to represent your community is really powerful. And I feel like if you're someone that gets triggered by things like this and would love to actually do something about it and will get energy out of helping people like that, and like that being the fact that will let you power through any struggles you'll get, you'll be fulfilled with Prim always. No matter how bad it gets, you'll be fulfilled. And you might want to quit. You might cry to all your Tygerberg Prims.
Yeah.
But that thing, like, it's really powerful. And when you're just honest with your community and house meetings, you're like, look, this is what's going on. Like, people really do appreciate it, and they do. Like, it's weird, like, you'll get that one or two people that come to you and be like, yes, like, thank you so much, or this or that. And it's, like, it's really, really powerful. Why is my phone going crazy? Is someone calling me? This is my VP, guys. Anyway, I'm going to try to ignore it. Yeah, and I feel like Prim is really fulfilling, and it really lets you grow a lot, and you rise to the opportunity. If you think you won't be able to do something because you're that one person that your house is relying on, if they know it or not, if it's in a situation they know about or not, since it's you will rise and you will grow. And it's like, it's really amazing experience. And I think anyone can really benefit by being Prim a lot. And I also feel like a lot of people struggle choosing between Prim and Vice Prim. And I think the main thing is just either if you're going to be fulfilled by really struggling to get those things done and representing that community and doing those things, or if you will really be fulfilled by helping your immediate Haka team with everything and talking them through it and making sure they're okay. And yes, you also do that as Prim, but it's a bit different. And I think the moment you figure out where your energy will come from, you'll be home free.
Sure. Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for all of those wise words. I'm honestly so glad that all of this is being recorded, because I don't know if you guys know just how...
This is being recorded? I did not know.
No going back now. No going back. Did I say recorded? No, never. Did I say it's going to be on YouTube? No, never. Did I say it's going to be on TV? No, never. But I don't think I don't think any of you know just how wise the words coming out of your mouths are. And I hope that you'll go back and you'll listen to this and you'll be like, wow, cannot believe that was me speaking. Or was I playing a recording? There's no way. So I'm really, really glad that this is being recorded, because I'm going to go back and make some more notes even.
Wama, question. Is my face being recorded the whole time? Because I can't control it, so I just need to know if like my facial expressions are now immortalized.
Not all the time. Luckily, Teams has this like 4-screen thing. So when you weren't talking, odds are you were not being recorded. But we caught some things. Tshiamo wants to know we're on TV. Obviously, eNCA. Channel 404 on DSTV. So, Daniel, I feel like I ended with you in the first round of questioning. So it's just tradition now that you be the last one, but not the least one for our very last question.
Yeah, so I'm really glad you left me till the end so I could really think about this. Yeah, what everyone said before this I agree 100%. Those are very important points. And the only thing that I can think I can add to is when you apply for Prim, I think you should have an idea of what legacy you want to leave behind. You really want to. Like when I started, I was thinking, okay, how do I picture I'm going to end my term? How's the next hardcore going to use what I've built on, or how are they going to use the stuff that I did to build a better PSO and community? So I think the only extra thing I can say is plan legacy that you want to leave behind. Whether it's hopefully good. You're definitely definitely not bad, but just I think that's the most important part for me.
Beautiful. Thank you. Yeah, legacy is a big thing, and it might not, planning the legacy that you want to leave behind might not mean that by the time that your term is done, that legacy is 100% fulfilled, but the steps towards that legacy should be in motion, should have started. You should be seeing that the legacy will come no matter how long it takes, but you've planted the seed that was needed for that legacy to come to life. Beautiful. This has been going on for a good 2 hours now. I could honestly go on till tomorrow, and I know you all could chat till tomorrow because clearly this has been a reunion for you all. If anyone has questions, please email me or WhatsApp me, and I will forward them to the Prims. I feel like this chat will always be available. Maybe I can send the answers here. I don't know. I just don't want to take too much of people's time. Also, my battery is on 8%. Wonderful. So if you do have questions, please do not hesitate. I'm sure the Prims are very happy to receive questions in their DMs as well. That is not a problem. Lize, your hand is up.
I just think shame. I think Wiseman should ask his question because he asked like quarter two if there'll be opportunity, and then I obviously wrongly said there would be. So maybe just him because now I feel bad.
You shut him down indirectly. Yeah, no problem. Wiseman, I don't know if you're still here. Don't know if your question is still a question or if it was answered. Wiseman. Okay, otherwise I'll hunt him down on WhatsApp. We know Wiseman, we love Wiseman. If you don't know Wiseman, you'll get to know Wiseman, you'll love Wiseman. Anyway, before this becomes a segment on Wiseman, I just want to thank all of you for coming through, our panelists and the people who have stuck it out to the very end watching this. I really hope it was helpful. I hope it was entertaining at least, but I do hope it was practically helpful in making you feel better prepared and in giving you insight on what being a Prim at Tygerberg is like. I think beyond the words that were said today, the way everyone is and the way the current Prims at Tygerberg are interacting with one another speaks for itself. The fact that it is this family atmosphere and there's so much love between all of you, and it's really beautiful to see because it does show that you're not just saying that you will be supported by your fellow Prims. We're actually seeing it in action, which is really, really great. I'm so glad that you guys had one another. So glad that in my term I had Sivi and Kristen and Jess and Ngcobo. Is that everyone? And Sergio. There's always one name you forget if you're going to name people. But it seems to be a Prim legacy, at least at Tygerberg, that TPK always gets. They come really close and they're like best friends. So if you want to make new friends, definitely TPK is the best base. You make the best friends here. But beyond friendship, thank you once again for dedicating time to come and speak and share experience and be vulnerable and be honest and be funny and be relatable and be human for people who are interested in continuing the great work that you've all done. We've all seen you busy, be it shouting at management, sending an email, fighting fellow students, whatever it was, you were all busy with something and we all got to see that. And it's just so great to get an opportunity to hear from all of you and see you be so human and so raw and so free. Yeah, you're all extremely wise. It is so exciting to know that we had prims who were this humble, who were this dedicated to serving students, and who have this much love for Tygerberg and who have this much love for the role. I say this to everyone, but I really do mean it, that it speaks to your leadership character, that you are invested enough to invest in the future of Prim in your community, not just the fact that you were Prim for the year, but you actually care how it's going to be handed over. You care how it's going to look when you're gone. That's why you're here to share, so that someone else can take the baton and run with it, not have to crawl or walk. So thank you once again. Have a great evening. You've been a fantastic panel. Can't wait to see this on the news. Can't wait to see where you're all going next. SRC, applications are out, do the things. I see you, Wade. And I think there's a message in the chat, but that's all from me. Is there a message in the chat? Is there? Anyone seeing a message in the chat? Or am I seeing things?
No, it was just a heart.
Oh, okay. I'll screenshot that heart and like put it on my status and be like, I'm loved. But yeah, thank you so much. Have a great evening. Happy studying. You're all fantastic. We love you. And again, if you have questions, just email me or hunt down any one of these prims. They are more than willing to answer. Have a great evening further, everyone. Bye.